How we doing? Thank you, Scott, the CRA, and the Torrance Lameda. Sorry, you're labeled last year. Can't do anything about that. I'll just this.
You could do something.
Republican Assembly, I appreciate it. I'm a new Republican, only been since May of last year. I did it at the Morning Answer Town Hall. I said I'm leaving the party of paid protest, purple hair, and pronouns, and joining the party of faith, family, and freedom. And some genius said, "Oh, he's just doing that to because he's running for office." I said, okay, do the math. That's not exactly jumping into the bigger team here. So this is based on principle. And the small minor detail they try to throw me in jail. Kind of helped along the way too.
Oh, damn, that's
Hey, you
right.
didn't know that?
No.
2 criminal grand juries impaneled by George Gascon to try to find something to indict.
Ooh.
Why did they?
And you know that saying that they can indict a ham sandwich?
Yeah.
They couldn't even find the mustard on the ham sandwich.
Wow.
I survived 3.5 years of the state attorney general investigating the department for pattern and practice. Super secret investigation. They spent millions of your dollars, and when they came up with the results, they had to make them confidential, and they refused to release them publicly. Why? Because they couldn't find diddly squat. Your tax dollars again at work. I was doing an investigation of a nonprofit who was embezzling county government on contracting. And this would involve a supervisor at the time, Sheila Kuehl, and her buddy who was running the nonprofit. Just a sweetheart deal, right? Too good to be true. And it was an insider whistleblower, right? They blew the whistle from the MTA. So we took it in good faith, and right away, the media, the politicians, oh my God, everyone rejected this case, and he only took it because he's going after his critics. Actually, it's because they're all dirty, and the only one who was willing to do his job was the sheriff's department, because that literally is the job of the sheriff.
There you go.
Yes.
If you're familiar with the government code, that huge thing that you can choke a horse with, go to section 26,600 through 26,604, read it. If you have a chance, it'll put a smile on your face, because you realize the authority of what the sheriff does is grounded in the state constitution.
Thank you.
And of course, by extension, everything that law enforcement does is grounded in the U.S. Constitution. So we're on solid ground, but you would not know that reading the LA Times or listening to all the politicians here in LA that all come from one party. It's, oh my God, how dare he? Left and right, everything we did. Go into Venice, and it was utter disaster. More than half the businesses were shuttered. Tourists were gone. Crazy people roaming up and down the boardwalk. Tents, pop-up tents from the Santa Monica County line all the way past Gold's Gym, about a half a mile away. You could not see the ocean from the boardwalk. And the stench was out of this world. So I show up, weirdly the same day that Mike Buscaino was announcing his run for mayor, I guess. And this lady is dragging concrete blocks with a chain, and she's screaming at the top of her lungs. And then she starts throwing bar stool chairs at another gentleman on the sidewalk. And that was just another day on the boardwalk. Mike Bonin, remember him?
Yeah.
He had told LAPD's Pacific Division to stand down and not do anything because it's discriminatory, it's harassment, and they have a right to be there because they're unhoused neighbors. And my thought was, bullshit. I had my deputies knock on every tent, do an assessment of every single one. There's 220 tents. 23 states were represented there. 23 states, 3 foreign countries. One kid was a runaway from England, who was 16 years old, in a tent on the boardwalks. We had to get, Interpol involved to try to reunite him with his family.
Wow.
So that's what it was like. There was one fool in a tent with those license, vendor license that the city gives out. Of course, he was selling PCP, meth, and fentanyl from his tent. And he had an apartment with $15,000 in cash in the apartment. And in the evening, he spent his time romancing the female homeless. And if you know what that means in street terms, they go through hell. It's like a 100% rate of being sexually assaulted if you're female on the streets. And that's what this cat was doing. So we scooped him up, we arrested him. Our narco crew went out there in uniform, beers and all, but they threw on their Class B uniforms. They had their black and whites that said Sheriff's Department. It was comical seeing their reaction to the drug dealers, because they were operating with impunity in broad daylight. And then when deputies are just click, 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 and they're, oh, you can't do it. Yeah, we can. 59 drug dealers arrested in 3 weeks.
Thank you.
And we started this June of 2021, right after Memorial, when the tourist season was starting. We went back Labor Day weekend just to see the change. Wow. You want to talk about a change. The street performers were back. The tents were gone. All the businesses were open. And the tourists, I even saw grandparents with little kids, with their little bikes and all that stuff that they would never dream of doing. The few that I saw back in June, they were on bikes or on rollerblades, and they're running scared, like, let's get through this as quickly as possible. That's the only people that are on the boardwalk that dare. So change is possible. We went to Olvera Street, different city councilman, different approach. This city councilman actually said, yeah, we'd like to help. Let's clean up Olvera Street. They had it blocked off in the grids and mapped out, and we work with LA City's Public Works and their sanitation department. We had folks from the Department of Mental Health from the county. We had the councilman's own staff there, and we had our homeless outreach service team there. So same scenario in Olvera Street. Half the kiosks, going down that center quarter, they were all boarded up. The colorful stuff, looks like an explosion, like a rainbow exploded. Half of it was shut down. All the tourist buses, or actually the school buses, that usually lined up around the plaza, because that's like one of the big destinations for day trips for kids everywhere around here as you go to the birthplace of Los Angeles. That had been written off the map, Olvera Street, because it was too dangerous. You had drugged up, crazy guys running and chasing students, would convince schools, okay, we're not sending our kids anymore. Well, we cleaned it up over the course of a few months, came back, went to the Plaza Olvera, where that big, what do you call it, the gazebo, the big gazebo thing in the center, ringed with this yellow school buses. Kids running around screaming. That noise was so different. Went from dead silent to, okay, life has come back. So in both cases, we proved, yeah, we can actually fix homelessness. We didn't take anybody to jail. Didn't have to use force at all. We just told people, we start doing the assessment, in 30 days, you're gonna be gone. We have a place for you, or you move on. However, this is not a place where you're gonna make your life. And so by the end of the 4 weeks, we put out notices that we're gonna do the cleanup, and then we do the cleanup. Not the LA City side, yeah, just go to the other side of the street while we wash this up, and then you go put your stuff back. No. It's like, no, you clean up, move on with your life. But we reclaim the place, give it back to the community. It worked. San Vicente, where the VA hospital is in Brentwood. Remember that huge disaster zone there? We cleaned it up in 1 month. Returned it back, got all the veterans inside the facility, into housing, the Bell Shelter for veterans, and the place returned back to the Brentwood community. No fuss, no muss. And what was the reaction from the political establishment? It was well, no, it was worse than crickets. It was a universal, how dare you? Why was it so disagreeable? You think, wait, we're actually helping the homeless, we're helping the community, we're helping tourism come back. $18 billion a year is a amount of money at stake with tourism. The Venice Boardwalk, the #1 tourist destination in LA County, the entire county, only second to Disneyland. You would think that the mayor and the city council would do everything possible to defend the golden goose. No. For them, virtue signaling and ideology was more important than protecting the revenue of the city. And the 10,000 people that are employed in all the different businesses across the boardwalk area in that region. I mean, this is like, I don't know.
They're devil people, that's it.
I suspect if you take their age divided by 2, you get the approximation to their IQ. It just, I don't get it. So, but then when you dig a little deeper, now we're connecting to the two things. Remember the peace over violence investigation? And remember how dare I with all this homeless stuff? Because there's something called the homeless industrial complex. And I'll take credit for coining that phrase about 6 years ago. Sadly, that I had to. And I talked about the architects of failure. What's happening is the county government, they're throwing money into nonprofits. Nonprofits on paper say they're doing all these wonderful things, but no. It's just employment job security for fat cats that are making 6-figure salaries. They might hire a couple of fools at $20 an hour to hand out water bottles and croissants, but that's the extent of their outreach. And you'll hear these people from the LA Homeless Service Authority, oh, we're not gonna tell people to leave, no, that's too harsh, we're gonna convince them. Convince them for what? Every year someone spends on the street, their life expectancy drops by decades. Yes. Someone's been on the street for 10 years, they were 30, now they're hitting 40. They're medically probably closer to 70. So the death toll by just living on the street is incredibly high. When Mayor Bass, or the Cheshire Cat, whatever you call her, when she was bragging about how they reduced homelessness last year, strangely, it coincided with all the deaths in the coroner's office, the people they scraped up off the street that died from fentanyl overdose. It was about identical. Yeah, that's a sad reality. When I took office as sheriff in December of 18, there was 5 deaths a day on the streets of LA. 5 a day. The little white, you see those medical examiner wagons out there? That's where they threw in all the corpses, and they do about a mass cremation thing and bury about 1,200 a year or so. Yeah. That number went from 5 a day to 7 a day, which corresponds with the drop in the homeless count. So now you know what is happening on the streets. And sadly, you don't hear anybody say, let's do something different. I'm gonna give you some numbers that's gonna piss you off. From LA County, from 2011 to 2021, they spent $6.5 billion on homeless initiatives. The homeless count doubled in that time frame. It doubled. Anyone here who runs a business, you tell me what you're gonna do that gets twice as bad the more money you put into it. You probably stop doing that thing, right? You should be in the business of making money if you're in the private sector and not spending money to lose it. No. Their reaction is, we gotta just do it more. So they did. Now the state can't account for $24 billion. The city can't account for about $2 billion in homeless. And here's 3 numbers for 3 entities. City of LA, County of LA, the state of California. In 2011, between 2011 and 2025, that's a 14-year time period. The budgets of those 3 entities either doubled or tripled. The state one tripled. Went from 99 billion to 325 billion. While prisons closed, jails closed, hospital beds lowered in number, less doctors, less nurses, less cops, less firemen. What the hell? We're getting less of everything, but you're paying so much more. Where is it going? Minnesota is guiding the way to show us where the money's going.
Yeah.
You're being ripped off at a level that is unheard of. The growth of these nonprofits, they're a sham, okay? I went out with a campaign worker friend of mine. We picked 8 daycare centers in southeast LA County, knocked on the doors. 7 of the 8 were fake.
Were they run by Somalis?
No, not Somalis. They were run by people here in LA County that figured out what the scam is and they're cashing in. There's a group called, a nonprofit called Community Partners. They receive money privately, they receive money from the public sources. They take 15% off the top if the money comes from a public source, goes into their pocket, 9% if it's from a private source. And Community Partners funds 533 all of their other nonprofits. Half of those nonprofits are daycare centers. The fraud of Minnesota, the entire state, is dwarfed by the fraud of LA County alone. Now you know that while I was doing my job, honestly, I was a direct threat to a massive embezzlement scheme going on at the county. I had to be eliminated at all costs. That lawfare that Trump went through, I can actually relate to what he went through because I suffered it individually. No matter what I did, it was something wrong. The LA Times increased their coverage of the Sheriff's Department by 400%. And it went from 2/3 positive to 90+% negative. Same department, same people, same policies, same rules, same laws. Bad thing happens in law enforcement. People get shot, you have questionable uses of force, things like that. Tragedies happen. Under my watch, apparently it was all my fault. I was unaware of this. Now you fast forward to the new administration, crickets. All of a sudden, they don't care about what happens to the Sheriff's Department. They don't care about the fact that Lomita Station is operating with 50% less of its deputies. 50%, they're gone. They have skeleton crews. There's one station, Marina Del Rey, a little further up the coast. The entire station has transfers into other agencies. Their deputies working 4, 5, 6 back-to-back double shifts in a row. They're walking around with bloodshot eyes like zombies. They barely get home, touch their bed, and then they're up again, they're back to work to do another 16-hour shift. And this is work where you gotta really pay attention to what you're doing. Because you're gonna be dealing with life and death issues, you're gonna be dealing with sensitive issues, you're gonna be dealing with filling out a truckload of paperwork and doing all these things and keep your head on a swivel the entire time. The conditions right now are inhumane. The department will not exist by 2028 when the Olympics come around. It's collapsing as we speak. And are you reading about any of this in the LA Times? Because you're not supposed to know these things. That's the whole point. The mainstream media is working hand in hand with the Board of Supervisors to make sure you don't know about any of these things. You stay in the dark. And you hear about Trump, oh my God, he's a threat to democracy and all that. No, bullshit. Democracy dies in darkness when people don't know what's going on. That's the threat to democracy. That's the threat we have today. People are totally unaware of how bad things are. They want to close Men's Central Jail without a replacement.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's 4,500 of the most dangerous inmates in the entire nation. They want to kick them out to the curb with no replacement. Men's Central Jail has 1,000 single man cells. And that's for a reason, because we have 1,000 people, we cannot allow them to be even with another inmate in the same place. Heck, they'll eat another inmate if they had a chance. That's how bad some of these people are. So they're housed for their own security, the security of the staff, security obviously of the community, but the Board of Supervisors doesn't care. The sheriff, the puppet, Bunker Bob, he doesn't care. He's polishing his 5 stars, collecting a big paycheck, and when it comes to the moment of truth, he's nowhere to be found. Remember those fires in Altadena? Do you know the sheriff is a one-person individually responsible for evacuations? You never knew that, right? Because you're not supposed to know that. In April of 2020, the Board of Supervisors decided to remove the sheriff as a director of emergency management. And they said, oh, it's because of the Woolsey fire. Well, McDonald was the sheriff during the Woolsey fire, but that didn't matter. They paid for some consulting firm to prepare a report. They said, oh, well, the report says we have to remove the sheriff. I read through the entire report. It doesn't even mention the sheriff's role. So it was straight political. So who became the director of emergency management? The CEO, a bean counter. What did the CEO do? Delegated the authority to a mid-level manager. A guy whose nickname is Pee Wee Herman, because he literally sounds like Pee Wee Herman. So when the fires came around, he had 5 days warning, right? 5 days, National Weather Service, particularly dangerous situation. Remember all this language? Rarely do you get a chance in an emergency like this to have a warning. East Coast, they get it with hurricanes, because you can plot the hurricane. You know you're about to get screwed at this point, okay. Here in the West Coast, fires happen fairly quickly, earthquakes happen. Here we are, we're in an earthquake. So a 5-day warning is a luxury for West Coast, emergencies. That's when the sheriff was supposed to pick up the phone to his buddy, Jim McDonald, and say, hey, we got a big one coming. We got 2 years of record rain and growth, 8 months of record drought and heat, tinderbox conditions. We're gonna throw in a hurricane force winds there. It's gonna get ugly, and the potential to have a massive wildfire is very, very, very likely or obvious. Let's get the fire chiefs involved. Where are we most vulnerable? And that's when someone say, hey, you know what? We still have that fire burning right above the city of LA in the Palisades. Maybe we should put that one out. Oh, gee, yeah, there's a good one right there. This is the meeting that never happened. Who are the people in harm's way? Well, we have a lot of assisted living facilities in the Palisades, in Altadena, a lot of them. A lot of people that are homebound. Hey, you know what? If push comes to shove, at the first hint of a problem, let's make sure we have a way of getting them all out of harm's way. That never happened. I'll tell you what did happen. Altadena Station was getting bombarded with 911 calls, including a disturbing set of calls. Sorry. A gentleman, elderly individual, African American, with a son. They were both homebound. He had, I believe, cerebral palsy. Couldn't move. Dad couldn't move. Relied on other people to help him. He called Altadena 3 times. He did. He said, hey, I can see the fire coming. Second call, hey, now it's behind my house. Third call, it's coming up my back wall. Never evacuated, they both burned to death.
It was all a setup. It's all a setup.
That, I'm sorry. I'll be damned if that happened to me on my watch. If I have to grab a radar car myself and drag them out, that's what I do. Okay. When I was in office in 2020, we had the civil unrest, what some people affectionately call the Summer of Love. And I was out there. I was out there with the troops in Santa Monica, in Long Beach. We assisted the city of LA, we assisted Beverly Hills, Commerce. They were trying to burn down all the places that were nice shopping areas. That was the goal of Antifa, that crowd. And we interrupted them. They were unable to do that. Took a lot of bad guys to jail, and they realized we weren't playing around, and that ended it. We did not become Portland or Seattle or all those other places that were just horrific. But when you're responsible, you gotta take charge, you gotta show up. So rule number one, if you don't show up, that means you don't care. Where was Bunker Bob when the county was burning? He was in a luxury hotel in Carlsbad. Took him 4 days to finally decide to show up to the command post right when the taco truck rolled in. And there he was taking photos of the ruins. But when people were burning to death, he was nowhere to be found. That is why he's running for re-election. I have no idea. I'd be embarrassed and I'd just resign quietly and, bounce some grandkids off your knee or something, but give it a day when it comes to running the nation's largest sheriff's department. There's a lot of effort right now to see the department collapse. The same ideology that's generating these nonprofits is also pushing for the idea of hollowing out government at all levels and building up the nonprofit world. And this nonprofit world is being up. Who do you think are the foot soldiers that do all the ballot harvesting?
Criminals. Those people.
All those people are the ones that come from the nonprofit world. Some of the union folks, SEIU, you name it, yeah.
We're shutting them down.
So there's a lot of work to do. I need your help, okay? I don't know if Mr. Lewis is gonna dare debate me. I kind of suspect he won't. He'll find a reason to hide again. Maybe go to the witness protection program. I don't know what he's gonna do. What did Mr. T say? I pity the fool? But what I do know is all those law firms that do business with the county, they're writing $1,500 checks to Luna. Not because he's doing a swell job, no, because they know where their bread is buttered. And they want to protect the establishment and the flow of money in the direction it's going. The sheriff's office is the one position that is uniquely suited to actually expose things. I created the public corruption unit. When Luna took office, that was his first official act was to get rid of the public corruption unit.
Wow.
Can you think of anything more corrupt than getting rid of the public corruption unit? Had I done that, oh my God, we'd never heard the end of it. How dare he again? Do you see how the game is being played?
Of course.
You don't know what's happening on the streets. You don't know what's happening with county government, city or state government for that matter. And they're burning through your money like crazy. When you're expanding the size of the public sector, you're squeezing the private sector. And we got people like John here who's running an honest business in the private sector. Their ability to make projects, to make deadlines, to have clients that are successful and things happen, it gets more and more difficult. How hard is it when you have all these people that lost their homes in Altadena and Palisades that say, there's no permit fees. If you got your plans for your house and you built it in 1960, God bless you, do it over again. That's it. That's all they could have done.
Yeah.
But no, it's an opportunity to basically wrangle and, get blood out of a turnip, or I don't know whatever phrase you want to use. Or just milk them for everything they got. So what is this debate at city council about permits for rebuilding? Or at the county, $40,000? I've heard that the cost, and John, you can back me up on this, about 40% of the cost of a single family residence is fees. 40%, think about that. So $1 million home could actually be $600,000. So There's so much work that needs to happen. We need to get good people, honest people in office, and I don't really care what party. It's not the party issue. Is it, can you make an honest decision on your own and not rely on some playbook that a party is gonna give you, okay, you have to do this? No. Make up your own mind. You're a member of the community. How about work on behalf of the interests of your own community? It's not that difficult. You'd be surprised. Mark Ridley Thomas, remember the convicted felon? Our offices overlapped for 2 years. For 2 years, he refused to speak to me. Never. Why? We met once before I took office after I won. Strange, it was somewhere in El Segundo. And had breakfast, he paid for it. Blueberry pancakes. And I remember that because the one time he actually spoke to me was when they were screwing me over at the Board of Supervisor hearing, and I pushed back at them. And then he saw me in the hallway and he said, "Blueberry pancakes." And that was it. Like somehow I owed him something, or what he was doing, he was trying to size me up. Would I play his game or not? He realized he didn't have a prayer's chance in hell. So I became useless to his felonious agenda. That's what it was. So there's a lot of work we need to do. I have this QR codes right here, and I need your help. The ballot statement alone for LA County races, countywide, is $92,000.
Oh, man.
Why is it so high? It's even higher than the governor's ballot statement that goes across the entire state of California. Because the board wants to make it more and more difficult for anyone to challenge an incumbent. All right? So if you can donate whatever you can spare, the only rule is you can't go past 1,500. All your family can donate, except the dog. Leave Max out of it. Someone asked me that the other day. We have envelopes. My good friend Dave and Gina right there, they have envelopes. If you can throw anything our way, that'll help us towards the cost and towards advertising, because we're going against the political establishment. However, what we have on our side is you, the people. The people that are donating now, they're coming from all walks of life. I went through Luna's donation sheet. It's a who's who of all the law firms that represent the county. I mean, it's embarrassing. Every single partner of every law firm went all the way down the list. Everyone, $1,500 checks. From the law firms of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. Sir.